Hi, it's Tim from Booth.Events. Today we're excited to launch our Glam Filter. So I'm going to show you that in this video and give you some tips on how to get the most out of it. Here I am in the iPad app and I've got an event launched. Now you can get to the Glam Filter without launching an event. It's in the middle page of the event settings, but there's also an easy way to get to it when you're in the event to kind of tweak things. So that's what I'm going to show you now. So if I hold two fingers on the screen to bring up the in-event menu, I've got this new option you can see here, filters. So I'm going to tap that. This brings up the new filters screen. Here you can change the black and white and the Glam Filter options, and by default the Glam Filter will be off. I've already turned it on for this event. So let's have a quick look at what this does. So the Glam Filter is going to do two things mostly. It's going to use machine learning and some advanced algorithms to smooth the skin and to brighten and whiten the teeth. And it's going to do a bit of acne removal as well. So let's have a look at this example image here. This is the first example image. And you can see there's the original image on the top in this case, and the image that's got the edits from the Glam Filter applied to it underneath. And using two fingers, I can just zoom in on that to have a quick look at that image. So right away I can see that her skin looks much smoother and more glamorous, but the detail is preserved. So if I look at her eyes and I look at the reflection of the flash in her pupil, or I look at her lips, the texture of her lips, that's still there. So what's important about these filters is that they need to be applied only to certain areas of the human body, and we've worked hard to make sure that our Glam Filter doesn't destroy all of the detail of your guests. So let's choose a different image. I'm going to pick the second image. So here's a photo of three lads, and if I zoom in, I can see that his skin is smooth, his teeth are whiter. So if I have a look at the top image, I can see the teeth are a little bit yellow, and at the bottom they're nice and white looking. If I go look at the next face, then same thing, I can see the skin's been smoothed nicely. And if I pick the third example photo here, here's a group of lovely ladies, and you can see again, if I zoom in, the skin on the left side on the original, I can see that kind of reflected texture of the skin that's set off by the flash, which isn't so nice. And on the right hand side I can see that's been smoothed away and it looks nicer. So this filter is intelligently applied only to faces, and it's fine if you have groups like this. You can see that each face has been analyzed and treated independently. Okay, that's fine for these example photos, but let's go ahead and pick some real photos. Let's start off with a really challenging example. So this is one of our horror show photos that we used when we built the Glam Filter. Lots of acne, terrible teeth, a face, as we would say, a mother could love. So let's zoom in. You can see right away that there's quite a lot of acne removal happening on the face. And if I zoom in on the teeth a bit, you can see there's a lot of teeth whitening happening, but it does look realistic. It doesn't look like they've just been like pasted on or anything like that. The skin is smoothed and it's still realistic looking. So that's a huge improvement for that kind of photo. Let's pick another photo here. So in this example, we have quite a lot of acne removal going on. So if I zoom in, you can see that around the areas where the acne is, the entire skin has been treated. Not to make it look unrealistic, you can still see there is a pimple. We don't want to strip away all of the imperfections because that makes the subject look less human, but we do want to draw the eye away from it so it's not so bright and red. Also, you can see there's skin smoothing applied, and of course all of the details of the eyes and the eyebrows and the lips, that's all still preserved. Okay, let's pick another challenging photo. So here we have a photo of a woman, and you can see in the bottom there that the Glam Filter doesn't appear to be doing very much. And that's because the way that these filters work is they act differently on different skin colors. So for this one, I'm going to turn up the intensity. So if you can see, there's that slider underneath the Glam Filter there. I'm going to slide that up. I'm going to slide it all the way up to there. Just wait for it to redraw. And now I can see there's quite a bit more happening, quite a bit more skin smoothing, and it looks better. In general, the rule is this: the more pale your guests are, the lower intensity for that Glam Filter you're going to want. So if the average guest in your event has pale skin, you're going to want to have that intensity probably even lower than the middle, which is the default. If you have a lot of guests with darker skin, like in this example that I'm showing here, then you're going to want to turn up the intensity of the Glam filter because it needs to work harder on skin that's darker. Okay, so now I'm going to hit pick photo. I'm going to choose another one. Let's choose an image here. Same thing. So if I stick the Glam filter back to its default setting, you can see there's not much of an effect happening there. For me personally, actually, I don't want very strong Glam filter, but a lot of people are going to want to turn that right up, turn the intensity up, and get just a bit more smoothing out of it. So great. Now let's see what happens when we combine it with black and white. So I'm just going to flip the black and white switch on there. And now you can see that both of those effects are being applied. So these filters stack. And I'm going to change to the tonal black and white because I think that looks great. And now we have easy peasy, a nice photo with the Glam filter and the black and white applied. Okay, the last thing I'm quickly going to show you is that in today's update, which we released, the black and white filter has been applied to the live view as well. This makes it really easy to compose your filters to see what are the photos going to look like before I go through the photo taking process, given the light that I have. Because these example images are one thing, but your lighting and your environment is going to be different. So it's now easier if for example, when I saw that, I didn't like how washed out it looked. So I'm just going to change the preset to bright there and go back. And that's great. And now I can see straight from this that this looks a little bit overexposed. So I would pop into camera settings, and that is largely because of the filter. The filter does change the lighting. So here I could, for example, crank up the brightness of my photo. I'm just going to take the exposure down a bit. That's the easiest way. Perfect. And that's looking a bit better. Okay, great. So that's our Glam filter. That's live in today's update in the App Store. You can use it on any iPad, but we definitely recommend using a newer iPad because it does take some computational resources to process those photos. Also, when the guests take their photos, if the guest's face isn't looking at the camera, if it's off on an angle, the Glam filter won't apply. It needs to be looking fairly more or less at the camera. And so if you get a lot of pictures where you have the Glam filter not applying, that'll likely be the reason why. And that's so that you don't have an unseemly neckline underneath. Okay, let us know how you like the Glam filter in the comments here. If you have any questions, get back to us. Hit the question mark in the app or on the website.